She was bleeding for 12 years. Then one moment changed everything. She was bleeding when she woke up. She was bleeding when she went to sleep. She was bleeding when she spent the last of her money on a doctor who couldn't help her. She was bleeding when that doctor sent her to another one. She was bleeding for 12 years. And in that world, that didn't just mean sick. It meant no one could touch her. Not her family, not her friends, not the community she grew up in, not the temple where she used to worship. 12 years of being untouchable. 12 years of watching people step back when she got too close. 12 years of silence where connection used to be. And then, one morning, she heard a name, and something moved in her that had not moved in a very long time. We are stepping into that moment right now. She woke up that morning the same way she had woken up for 12 years. Her hand went to the place where the bleeding had been. Still there. She already knew before she touched it. She had known since the dream she had been having before the sun came up. The same dream, the same answer waiting for her every morning. She sat up anyway. She checked anyway. She hoped anyway. Still there. She looked at the wall. She did not move for a long time. She remembered the first doctor, the one who had been so confident, the one who had looked at her and said, "This is simple. We can fix this." She had believed him. She had paid him. She had gone home and waited. It got worse. The second doctor had been less confident. He had tried something else, something that hurt, something that cost more, something that took weeks of her life that she never got back. It got worse. The third, the fourth, the seventh, the 11th, each one took something. Money she did not have, time she could not afford, hope she could not replace. She had spent everything. Mark says it plainly. She had spent all she had, not some of it, not most of it, all of it. And the answer was the same this morning as it had been 12 years ago. Still bleeding, still unclean, still untouchable. She got up anyway. She had no choice. She remembered the last time someone had tried to touch her. It was 2 years ago. Her niece, a little girl who had not yet learned to be afraid of what her aunt was. The girl had run up to her in the courtyard, arms open, face bright. She had not stopped to think. She had just moved toward the woman she loved, and her mother had caught her, grabbed her by the shoulder, pulled her back so fast the girl stumbled. "No," the mother said. Her voice was sharp, not mean, scared. "You cannot touch her." The girl looked at her aunt. Her face changed, not understanding, just seeing something she had not seen before. The mother pulled her into the house. The door closed. She stood in the courtyard. Her arms had started to open, to receive the hug that was coming. They were still half open when the door closed. She lowered them slowly. She stood there for a long time. No one came back out. That was 2 years ago. No one had tried to touch her since. She heard about him on a day she could not get out of bed. Someone was talking outside her window. 2 women. One of them was crying. The other was trying to comfort her. "My brother," the crying woman said. "He was dead. 4 days in the tomb. And then Jesus came." She sat up in bed. The other woman said something she could not hear. The crying woman answered, "I saw it. I was there. He stood outside the tomb and he called my brother's name, and Lazarus walked out." She was standing now. She did not remember getting out of bed. The women kept talking. They mentioned other stories. A paralyzed man who walked, a blind man who saw, a leper who was made clean. She did not hear the rest of the conversation. She was already moving. She found the crowd before she found him. It spilled out of the street and into the fields. People pressed together, shoulder to shoulder, back to front. She stopped at the edge of it. 12 years of being untouchable had taught her something. They had taught her to stay at edges, to watch from outside, to wait until the crowd thinned so she could move without touching anyone. There was no thinning. The crowd was only growing. She stood at the edge. She watched people push past each other. She watched them press in toward the center. She watched them touch each other. She had not touched anyone in 12 years, not since before her niece was born, not since before the last doctor took her last coin. Her hands were at her sides. They were shaking. She wanted to turn around. She wanted to go back to her room. She wanted to forget she had ever heard the name Jesus, or the word healed, or the stories of dead men walking and blind men seeing. She took one step forward, then another. Then she was inside the crowd. Every step cost her something. People turned when she brushed against them. Not all of them, enough of them. Enough that she saw their faces shift. Enough that she saw them register what she was. Enough that she saw them step back. A man she had known since childhood. He looked at her. His eyes went to the place she kept her hand. He stepped back. He did not say her name. A woman who used to bake bread with her. Their eyes met. The woman's mouth opened. Nothing came out. She stepped back too. She kept moving. She had been stepped away from for 12 years. She knew how to keep moving. But this was different. She was not just moving. She was pressing, pushing into the space people did not want to give her. Her chest was tight. Her breath was short. She could feel the eyes of people who knew her, people who had stepped away from her before, people who were stepping away from her now. She did not stop. She could see him now, not his face, his back, his shoulders, the edge of his garment hanging down near the ground. That was all she needed. She had not planned this. She had not rehearsed it. She had not asked herself if it was allowed or appropriate or safe. She just knew, if I touch the edge of his clothes, I will be healed. Not his hand, not his face, not even the center of his garment, the edge, the hem, the very border of where his clothing ended. As if even now, even after 12 years, even after spending everything she had, even after hearing about a dead man walking out of a tomb, she was still trying to take up as little space as possible. She reached, her arm stretched out between two people who were pressing past each other. Her fingers opened. Her hand moved through the small space that appeared for just a second. And then she stopped. Her fingers were inches from the hem. Her hand was suspended in the air. She could feel the heat of the crowd around her. She could feel the weight of everything she was risking. If he noticed, if he turned around, if he called her out in front of everyone, if he asked her what she thought she was doing, if he said the words she had heard before, unclean, untouchable, get back, stay away, she could still pull her hand back. She could still disappear. She could still go home with nothing changed and no one knowing she had tried. Her fingers trembled. She reached and she touched the edge of his garment. And then everything stopped. Not the crowd. The crowd kept moving. The noise kept going. The people kept pressing. But something inside her stopped. She felt it before she understood it. A shift. A closure. A thing that had been open for 12 years. 12 years of bleeding. 12 years of loss. 12 years of her life draining out of her. That thing closed. Her hand was still on the edge of his garment. She knew. After 12 years of waking up every morning and checking and hoping and being disappointed, she did not need to check. She knew. It was done. Her hand wanted to stay on the hem of his clothes. She wanted to stay in this moment forever. She wanted to disappear back into the crowd and never explain anything to anyone, and just carry this secret healing home with her where no one could touch it. That was the plan. Touch and disappear. She started to pull her hand back. "Who touched my clothes?" His voice cut through the noise, loud enough for the crowd to hear, calm enough that no one could pretend they had not heard it. The disciples laughed. That's what Mark says. They practically laughed at him. "Look at this crowd," they said. "Everyone is touching you. Everyone is pressing in. Dozens of people are touching you right now. What do you mean, who touched me?" But he did not laugh. He stood there. His eyes moved across the crowd. "Someone touched me," he said. "I felt power go out from me." She knew. In that moment, she knew. He had felt her. In a crowd of hundreds of people pressing against him from every side, he had felt her. One touch, the edge of his garment, the smallest possible contact, he had felt it, and he had stopped everything to find her. She could have stayed hidden. She could have let the disciples argue with him. She could have slipped back into the crowd and walked away healed and anonymous. But he was standing there, looking, waiting, and she could not make herself invisible anymore. She came forward. Mark says she came in fear and trembling. Her legs were shaking, her hands were shaking, her voice, when she finally opened her mouth, was shaking. She fell down at his feet and she told him everything. The 12 years, the doctors, the money, the treatments that made it worse. The morning her niece tried to hug her. The mother pulling the girl back. The door closing. Her arms still half open. The loneliness. The mornings she checked and already knew. The dreams she had stopped dreaming. The hope that had died and been resurrected and died again so many times she had lost count. All of it. The story she had been carrying alone for 12 years, she poured it out at his feet. She told him about the plan: touch and disappear. Get what she needed and leave no trace. Take up as little space as possible. Ask for nothing. Just take the healing and go. She told him all of it, and he listened. He let her finish. He did not look past her at the crowd. He did not remind her that other people were waiting. He did not rush her. He let her tell the whole story until there was nothing left to tell. And then, only then, he spoke. "Daughter." That was the first word out of his mouth. Not woman, not you, not the one who touched me. Daughter. She had not been called that in 12 years, not by anyone. Her father was gone. Her mother had died in the 3rd year of her bleeding. Her family had stopped using the word. They called her by her name when they had to. They called her nothing when they did not. But no one had called her daughter, not once, not in 12 years. He called her daughter, in front of the crowd, in front of the people who had stepped away from her, in front of the disciples who had laughed at him, in front of the man from her childhood who had stepped back, in front of the woman who used to bake bread with her. He called her daughter. "Your faith has healed you. Go in peace. Be freed from your suffering." But that first word, daughter, that was the thing she had not known she needed. The healing fixed her body. The bleeding stopped. She could feel that. She had felt it before he even said anything. But the word daughter fixed something else. Something she had not had words for. Something 12 years of being untouchable had taken from her without her knowing what was missing. She had been the bleeding woman for so long. She had forgotten she was also someone's daughter. He reminded her. He named her back into belonging. Step back now. 12 years, every treatment that failed, every coin spent, every morning she woke up and already knew the answer. Every person who stepped back when she stepped forward. Every place she could not go. Every moment she spent on the outside of the life she was supposed to have. A little girl's arms open, a mother pulling her back, a door closing, and then one decision, one press through a crowd she had no business being in, one reach where her hand stopped halfway and trembled and kept going, one touch at the very edge of his garment, one word, daughter. She walked away from that crowd with her body healed and her name returned. The man from her childhood was still there. The woman who used to bake bread was still there. The people who had stepped back were still standing at a distance, but she did not move around them the same way. She had come in reaching for the hem. She left with a name, daughter.